animation, and we plan and we do a lot of testing. So I'm going to show a little bit about how we get involved in design, describe briefly our pipeline. We have to evaluate the difficulty of all the shots. When you're doing a typical movie, you really want to have a good idea of how much time to spend on everything. For instance, a crowd scene versus a single character is going to be a lot more difficult, and it's the same when you're doing effects. Doing a little puddle in the distance is fairly simple, but dam bursting is pretty hard. And I'll show you some of our test beds. So, at the beginning, Carl Ludwig, that's one of the founders of Blue Sky, he got all of the effects team together and he said, look, we have to decide what kind of look we're going to go for before we actually start doing anything. We looked at some of these footage from The Day After Tomorrow. This is a pretty photoreal water. It's pretty cool, but we're doing a cartoon feature, so this is the other end of the spectrum. It's a movie called Porco Rosso. Not sure if you know the Japanese director Miyazaki, I believe is how you pronounce it, but he does fantastic work. But it's hard to tell so much from these stills. But when this is animating, it's completely believable, and it sells the idea of what's happening, and it works for the story, which is really the key thing. So we decided to go somewhere between these two, like the Ice Age world. It's kind of realistic, but it's the simplified world as well. What the designers do, they come up with a design bible. It's about like a 20-page booklet that anyone working on the movie gets. This is an example page from it. For instance, it's describing like how in the main part of the world there's no real curves. It's all done with straight lines. If you look at the twig there, it's very angular, and all the curves are made from a series of connected straight lines. Then the underwater world is kind of curvy, and that's going to be kind of a little bit blue. There'll be about 20 pages of this showing a lot of different things. So anyone like the modelers who are about to start modeling anything, if they want to model a rock, rather than coming up with something they think will look good, we'll look at this and design a rock or a splash or a character that will hopefully all gel together in the style of the movie. What we do is we just start off with a few like pencil sketches. Sometimes we do sketches on the computer. I call them sketches. They're just very rough tests. And the main ideas of these, like a lot of this, it's kind of hard to translate sometimes these sketches to the computer, but where it's useful is it just gets communication going really early, which is good, because it's important to start talking to the director and the designers and the other departments like lighting and animation as soon as you can. And when you talk about it, you kind of realize, well, maybe we want them more like this, or we really do want the kind of white foam around the characters, but we don't care about having a photorealistic splash in the air.